whenever if someone has stolen or something, if it's millions, we don't even consider it a case anymore. Someone has, we've seen the case of the dam scandal.
Yeah.
We saw the amount of billions that were lost there, and then we have 4.4 billion now. Is it that we've come to a culture of just losing? We're now used to the reality of losing billions.
It's unfortunate, Yusuf. It's very unfortunate. It's something that you cannot be happy with, especially as also a government officer. When you see that billions of shillings, and you take concern, whereby you see people are dying over petty things like hunger, and people are suffering because of diseases, things that are not supposed. Those are basic things. When you see 4.4 billion, you see we are talking approximately over $400 million. That when you divert those funds to something important, you see the difference. You see the difference. For example, if just small things like sports, small things like food, you remember the issue with Turkana, where people are facing a lot of problems, and presumably maybe those celebrities just come up and chip in small things compared with 4.4 billion. So when you touch on things like when you touch on a tender of 48 billion and you say there was a problem in procurement, that is very unfortunate, because Kenyans have professionals in procurement procedures. We are professionals. We have a very big professional body which is concerned with procurement. So when you see a 4.4 billion scandal that it's a headline, you wonder what was the procedure that it was used, because 4.4 billion is not a cheap change.
No.
It's not a cheap change. It's a lot of cash.
And Odada, do you see if there is possible hope for Kenyans?
I don't know. In my opinion, if there has never been a single person who's ever been brought to book for this, I don't really think there can be a way out, because for one, any person who can handle cash as much as 48 billion for tender, obviously in our society has links to bigger powers. Yeah. So as long as there's that protection, as long as there's that immunity that is always there by such like people, I don't think they will come to a day whereby one of them will be brought to book, because people keep on. There was the Kimwarera and the other dam scandal, previous scandals. All the worst that can happen is they're taken to court, released on bail, then they're taken in rounds in court, and then the media gets tired of covering them, and then the case slides under the carpet, and the cycle repeats itself again. So as long as that keeps on happening, we may even my kids may even end up having that if we don't get to have a strong judicial system which is not affected by politics. Yeah.
Are you of the same opinion that this is something that will keep on recurring and recurring?
Yeah, let us just pray to Allah. Because it is not the first time. We can start from the 90s, where we had the Anglo-Lycine, we had the Grand Regency issues. You see, those are just tendering processes. And you see, the same person is even relocating to West Africa. Is it the Zakim? The Lebanese is even now relocating. You can imagine how much. In fact, you are losing. The government, we are losing as the 4.4 billion. It's the same company. We are even losing now KRA, because it was as per what is written and what has been investigated is that the guy is being on over 18 billion of KRA tax evasions over the same. So, as Yusuf was saying, let us just pray to Allah that one day, inshallah, this year he can do something.
Okay, moving on to the Standard, and the headline here is 90-year wait for governors in Sisal land tussle. Now, this story is continued in page 6, where governors are protesting law that gives farms land until 2019, and the leaders are threatening to ignore regulation that they say only serve wealthy landowners. Are you in agreement with? Are the governors right to protest this and say that the law only serves wealthy landowners?
Yusuf, that is a laughing matter. So you see, if you see a point whereby, you see that there are measures where the big fish politician can do. you see, when your father comes to your home and say, "I'm protesting against my children," see, it's somehow funny. There are measures, there are measures that they can take. See, when you say that the government, the governor say maybe they want to curb or maybe protest against that big land. Who are the big landowners, or maybe who are the big fish? They're the people. So they have their own measures on how they can do that. For us common wananchi, even if you are told the government can do it, there are the people who to take action. So if you come a place where now the person to take responsibility and the person to take action is saying that he's protesting, so it is somehow funny. It is somehow funny. For me, I can say there are measures that they can take. They can write proposal to the government on what measures to take. They can file cases in court. They have the power, they have the money, they have the connection. They know the people who exactly can execute the same agenda. Yeah.
Okay. Odada, what's your thoughts on this?
We are in a country where the president would blatantly say, "Mnataka nifanye nini?" on a corruption deal. So it doesn't come to me as a surprise if the governors are should I say, crying, and are not sure what they're supposed to do about the Sisal land tussle. What I think is, if we had a responsible commission that is responsible for the lands and everything, we would be having way better services. For instance, I have a friend of mine who was telling me you could get land in Tanzania with 100K Kenya shillings. I don't think there's any piece of land you could get in Nairobi with a meter, 1 million. Yeah. So I think it's just responsibility of the government. More or less is a smokescreen, if you ask me.
Okay. Moving on to the star, now political corridors. Raila's allies, Ken's bro battle for Kibra. Now, the late Ken Okoth died, and Okoth's younger brother Imran has emerged as the front runner for the ODM ticket, even though other candidates are preparing for the nomination. Now, Odada, do you think that Imran is the right person to take over from his late brother?
To be honest, I don't even know who that guy is. I've never heard of him before. But we both know politics is about emotions. Ideas come probably third. It's about, number one, it's about the candidate. Number two, it's about emotions. Then ideas come as a supplement. So if the emotions are there, and ODM being such a big party makes the candidate, I think chances are that he might win. But who knows? I'm not very sure if he's the right person, because you know we've had these cases with ODM, but the brother to Otieno Kajwang ended up becoming senator and all those things. So the emotions are going to play a big part in this. As long as ODM gives the ticket to the brother, I think he might sail through.
All right. Yeah. What about you?
As my brother has said concerning the sympathy votes, you see, we have
It's a sympathy votes.
Those are the sympathy votes. You see, Yusuf, Kenyans are tired with politics. Yeah, you remember the 2003, 2007. It's like people say, okay, we can vote. Well, maybe he can be the MP, but at the end of the day, if seriously we have a structured political environment where people, the citizens can become mature, it's good. It's painful when we say we lose our brother, our uncle to people, our father to the children, Mr. MP, our Honorable Mr. Okoth. But at the end of the day, Kenyan interest is first. Every person is serving Kenyan interest. So for us, like for me, I can say that one, the people of Kibra, they just take an option whereby they can think twice, see if he's the right guy, they can give him a good shot. But if he doesn't deserve, we don't vote for sympathy votes. So for me, I can say if they have an option whereby they have a good person who is better than the brother to the late, they can decide on a best option instead of maybe Kenyans like sympathy votes. Oh, I'm a fewer. Well, how can we do? Is okay. Let us uplift the family. Just give him. It is okay. But for me, it's waste of time. It's waste of energy. It's also it's unethical. It's unethical. It's in quotes, whereby you can give a shoddy person a responsibility which he or she cannot uphold. So if they have a best person to replace Okoth, for me, they are good to go. But if they feel like the late brothers can do it, then allow Alam.
Okay.
No.
Now, moving away from the political game and on Taifa Leo, serikali iliuzia Wakenya kansa. Now listen to this. Hofu imeibuka miongoni mwa Wakenya kwamba mahindi yenye sumu ya aflatoxin yaliyoingizwa nchini kutoka ng'ambo miaka 10. Now, sugar has mercury. We saw a story recently that meat has metabisulfite. And now, mahindi, aflatoxin. I mean, what do we eat now, Odada?
And we're forgetting that our vegetables are also being injected by this hormone that I think I've forgotten its name. It's also being, our vegetables are also being injected. As I said last time that I was here, it's all about the ethics. It's all about the ethics. Even if KEBS does whatever it does, even if we set rules and standards, even if we decide to punish the people who do all these wrong things, it again still boils down to the individuals. You know, a system, any organization, any entity is as good as the people who run it, the individual people. It's upon ourselves to decide that, you know what, this is killing us. We're supposed to stop it. Because we can't, there's no specific individual called the government. We all constitute the government. As long as a farmer, I still want my product to grow a little bit faster and ripen faster and take it to the market, and I use chemicals. As long as someone wants to import cheap maize from probably Brazil that is meant for cows, you know, and then sell it to the market, as long as all of us want to get rich very fast, even if the government does whatever it does, it won't curb that. So it still boils down to individual responsibilities and ethical practice, if you ask me.
Okay, now Odada has said it all comes down to individual responsibility. Hassan, when we come back, I will ask you to counter this because I see you want to counter this. But we're going to take a quick short break. When we come back, we're still on the cancer story. Don't go too far. This is the Sabah Show.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. On the next episode,
Wajib is compulsory thing, where if you don't do it, you get the sin. Sunnah is supererogatory, where if you do it, you get the thawab, but if you don't do it, you don't get the sins. And you are ready to abstain from the haram, which if you do it, you get the sins. And you also abstain from makruh, which is not liked, which if you do it, you don't get the sin, but if you abstain because of observing the rules of Allah, you get thawabs. So when you say, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, you want to be among this group.
كتاب الله دستوري
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Welcome back to the Sabah Show with me, your host Yusuf Farawe, still in the headline reviews with Odada and Hassan Makubu. And before we went for the break, we were discussing this cancer story. And Hassan, get this. According to the former aliyekuwa mkurugenzi wa KEBS, he's quoted saying, nina hakika kwa asilimia 100 kwamba watu watapata magonjwa kati ya miaka 10 ama 15 ijayo. Now he's citing that in years to come, people will have cancer because of the standardization of quality food that is being brought to our country. Was he right to say this? Because I mean, currently we're seeing cancer on the rise.
Yusuf, there's something we call paradigm shift, whereby we are, we can start from the education system we have. We need a paradigm shift. The system of education that we have is that, Yusuf, you are going to school, I want you to be successful. Pita mtihani. You become a doctor or you become a good presenter, pate pesa, you become rich. You see, that's the problem, where the problem starts. People are learning, people are going to school on wrong reasons. So when you go to school on a wrong note, on a wrong reason, whereby the mentality of the society expects that, Yusuf, you have gone to school, you must, one, support your family. Two, which is a must. Supporting your family is one of the important things to do. Then, but the issue is that, what about if you go to school and fail? And you don't pass the exam as your parent maybe had told you. Now that's the issue now comes, people are looking for malpractice to make the ends meet. So when you see these issues of cancer, there are things you can deal with. Something that is, you can, as an individual, the way my brother has said, something you can deal with. Did this come after people are going to school for a good reason? When health issues are laid out, people take them positively. For example, there are small issues like we are complaining about the health hazards issues in Nairobi, but it comes down to individual responsibility. If you are expecting to avoid diarrhea, you're expecting maybe to come out of cancer, and the same people you are selling. For example, there was an issue of plastic, was it plastic rice? Yeah, those are essential things. Who is bringing plastic rice in Kenya? We are the people. So the chair to KEBS is not in Mombasa. It is me and you, Yusuf, who are receiving, counter-checking everything. President Uhuru is not in Pangani Hospital to check if the doctor has diagnosed someone with the right issues on cancer. They are our doctors, they are our father, but the issue is, we need a paradigm shift whereby people have understand that this is my brother, we are serving the same God. When I injure my brother, it's like I'm injuring myself. So when you come the issues of maize, the issues of sugar, it's not even the, those are businesses people are doing out of malpractice. That's why I'm saying there's a paradigm. People need a paradigm shift on education, whereby at least people know that when I'm doing this, it's wrong. It's not a government. It's not supposed that the government must be in my back to take concern of what I do, but it's my personal initiative. When I went to school, it's because I didn't know my social life, how to handle my social life, how to handle my own health, how to respect the health of others, how to respect the livelihood of the other. But when we have wrong reasons to go to school, that's the reason why we have. You remember the issue whereby they say if you want to be a successful CEO, you need to come out with, let's say, unforgettable measures, funny measures to make the company improve. So you find companies, medical companies, maybe hospitality companies, they come with funny things. They at a level, and even you remember in a certain magazine whereby you can people are, as you say, people are reaching a level whereby they can even inject diseases in certain food, so that maybe health centers or maybe health companies can get their profit. So when you hear information like that, you wonder, are they really, are these really human beings? Because you can't do, you can't reach a situation whereby you can do a research on how to affect the society, in a sense that you can do a research on how to improve the society.
Okay, so it all boils down to ethics.
Ethics, yeah.
Let's move on to the Business Daily, and the headline is, Eurobond raises Kenya's public debt to 5.8 trillion. Our public debt has risen by staggering numbers. We're currently standing at 5.8 trillion. I mean, has our borrowing culture become this bad, or that?
Well, you know, whenever we go on borrowing every other time, people are creative. Once in a while, I once heard that taking a debt is enjoying the fruits of your future now. It sounds very interesting, sounds very lucrative. When I come to think of it, we have borrowed up to 5.8 trillion. The last time I checked was 4.7. That's a rise by around 1-point-something trillion Kenya shillings. Of course, by default, I would be worried, but I would be a little less worried if it was worth it, if we could account for what we borrowed, if what we borrowed was actually spent well. You know, if we wouldn't be having first-class honor degree graduates on the streets because of lack of jobs. I think, in my opinion, we just need to set our priorities straight, because I am very sure we can run. I'm not a very good economist. I take engineering, but I'm very sure that we have enough resources in this country to run it. But as long as people can always steal and get away with it, as long as people can always, you know, the end justifies the means kind of quotes running our society, it will increase. By the time I'll be probably 50s, we'll be having a debt of, who knows, 10 point something trillion Kenya shillings. And then our grandchildren and then their children will be working to pay debts, not working to sustain the environment or to sustain the country. So as long as we still continue with this culture, and the people who are responsible for the Eurobond scam, none of them has been brought to book, not a single one of them. So as long as this still continues, the debt is going to keep on rising, because we still have that appetite to keep on borrowing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hassan.
And Yusuf, you remember the story that when you are born in Kenya, you're supposed to have a debt of, is it 100,000 or 25,000?
Immediately you're born.
You're in your mother's womb, but at the end of the day, you still have the debt.
Yeah.
It means that when you die, you transfer the debt to the other person who already not maybe. It is funny, but Yusuf, you can't tax. It's like you can't tax yourself to be rich. There was a guy when he said, do you know, there was a Mzungu who was illustrating why Africa is not getting rich. No, why Africa is not even making any changes, because one, you don't expect to do development at your own country, and you're facing two things. One, you borrow. At the end of the day, the money you borrow, you don't do with it much. You see, for example, there are two magazines we are having here. One is, you can see one is saying 4.4 is unaccounted for billion. And the other one is 5.8 trillion debt.
Yeah.
You see, if you do the calculation, you can see how much has been mismanaged earlier. So you can do yourself the arithmetics. And remember, Yusuf, that this country is having a 52% wage bill. We are paying more on wage bill than what we can invest, 52%. So when you have such a big wage bill and you are borrowing much, it means that at the end of the day, there will be no innovations. Innovations are big things that improve the country. The government cannot even invest. It's because you can't tax yourself to be rich. You see, there's no point to say that I'm taking this tea, I'm pouring it out, the other one I'll be sipping. At the end of the day, the poured tea will not help you much, because itakuwa imemwagika at the end of the day. But the best thing is that if the government can take that money, there are many channels where the government can invest. Like we have KPLC, there is a lot of money being wasted on, there is a lot of money generated from KPLC. There is a lot of money generated from, there's a lot of money expected to be generated from CG, Standard Gauge Railway. There is a lot of money being wasted at Mombasa Port. So if you can imagine if the government can just take the much money obtained from these parastatals, and the government support innovations, whereby if a youth come up with a project, they support it. If the project can accumulate a total job of even 1,000, it's an improvement to our country. But when you see that 5.8 trillion Kenyan shillings, we have a debt of such magnitude, then at the same time you hear that 4.8 billion it's unaccounted for. You see, it's not even a laughing. It is so sad, Yusuf. It's very painful. It is so sad. And even the same newspaper you see at the Daily Star. The Daily Star says that you can see the picture of that lady, that child. It's pathetic. It's painful. It is sad.
Okay.
If you are a parent and you see your child is suffering, and at the same time you are reading 4.8 trillion debt and 4 billion is mismanaged, it's not something good, Yusuf.
Okay, now moving on to the Daily Nation, an in-depth story. Sosion faults TSC move on pay rise, and the union is accusing employer of discrimination after withholding pay hike for some teachers. I mean, do our teachers deserve to have a pay rise, or dad?
And they do deserve. The last time they had a strike, I thought they sorted this out. I thought the strike was long, and they were to settle all those things once and for all. I don't know. As long as they keep on settling for they keep on settling for favorable conditions and not achieving their goals, you know, will keep on going back for strikes and strikes. And I don't know, I think some of the teachers who don't necessarily get the pay hike are the ones who, the last time I checked, are not subscribing to the Kenya National Union of Teachers. You know, when you don't subscribe to them, and then they fight for you, they fight for your rights, I think they always have this policy that, and maybe they tax you or you don't get the pay hike. But yes, they deserve a pay raise, because, you know, all of us here wouldn't be here if at one point or the other I wasn't taught English, because it's not my first language. So yeah, they do deserve a pay raise.
Okay, moving on from the horrors of education, and I get this, Hassan, first-time mom, that is on the Daily Nation, page 10, first-time mom disappointed after her pregnancy turns out to be false. Doctors say condition affect women desperate to have children, causing their bodies to react if they are pregnant. Now, Lorraine was assured of her born child was doing fine, only later on to find out that she was not pregnant at all. I mean, what does this say about our health sector?
That's what I've been talking about, the paradigm shift. Wrong people doing right job. You see, you remember the issue of the doctor who was, is it an ethical doctor? What is that? You remember? The issue is gone. You see, if you can make, if the same trend of situations come, you remember there was a time where there was a lady who was misdiagnosed with HIV. He was taking ARV for the last 3 years. 3 years. Until the point whereby another doctor just come diagnose the lady that she doesn't have HIV, but the lady with the husband has been taking ARV for 3 years. So you can imagine, for example, this lady can be maybe suffering from malaria. The medication for women who are pregnant. So you take yourself to the doctor. You say, doctor, I'm pregnant. Then the doctor opt for another medication. Assuming maybe you are pregnant. At the end of the day, you're not pregnant. So Yusuf, I don't know how to comment on that. If in my condition, that doctor is supposed to be in custody, because it's not funny, Yusuf. It is not funny. Okay. I don't know if it was machine or the doctor. It seems funny because the person who was diagnosing the same lady, we have machines to take care of that.
Okay. Yeah. Still on matters health, one more story before we go for a break. Odada, man wants smoking banned for health reason. That is page 12 of the Daily Nation. Is it about time we ban smoking?
Well, smoking is, should I say, a choice. I do not exactly know what it impacts, let's say, on the positive end, but I know it causes a lot of things, lung cancer, etc. If we could allow people to have other people make decisions on their behalf, then I think the very first things we could do, of course, apart from a dictatorial approach to corruption, is banning things like smoking. But then again, it all boils down to individual responsibility, individual choices. And I could give an example. There's a person who took a company that processes cigarettes to court, and sued that company for not clearly writing using a big font that smoking of cigarette for a long time causes cancer. And that company ended up compensating this person. My whole point is, we don't exactly need to ban cigarette for health reasons. All of us do know it has health implications. The same way we both know corruption has economic implications and every other thing. It's upon individuals to decide on that. But if I was to be the one in charge of that, well, it wouldn't really take me a lot of energy to actually ban it, because some of us know something is wrong, but then not everyone has the strength and the will to actually go against it. So yeah, it should be, but then because we can't do that, or it may take a little more energy to do that, it boils down to individual responsibility. As a person, you know, it's written clearly on the box that contains the cigarette that this is affecting your health.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Odada says it all comes down to individual responsibility when it comes to smoking. Now, on that note from Odada, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we will be diving into more in-depth stories. As always, don't go too far. This is the Sabah Show with me, your host, Yusuf Farah.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Waswahili wanasema chilea chilea utapata mwana si wako. Kwa majina ni Muhammad Uhura na hii ni Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Kwa jina nilobarikiwa nalo ni Ibtisam Jamal. Ungana nami katika Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Na kwetu wanatambua kama Mariam Mwacharo. You're watching the Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Are you finding difficulty to find us on Azam decoders? Rescan your Azam decoders and find us on channel 008. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Welcome back to the Sabah Show with me, your host Yusuf Arab, still on the newspaper reviews, and we're moving direct to the Standard, page 3. Father of conjoined twins opts not to separate them. Conjoined twins share critical body organs, and death of one will affect the other. Now this father is having a hard time choosing which one of the kids should die and which one should stay alive. How difficult is it as a parent to decide this one gets to stay and this one gets to die?
Oh, it doesn't get any more difficult, if you ask me.
Okay.
I don't know why. That's an unfortunate situation, though we appreciate that it's among the unique things that happen to us. But I think it would be better if the parents use some good medical advice instead of making personal decisions. At times, our emotions could very easily cloud what is the right thing to be done, because I don't know how sustainable it is for them to continue living that way. I don't know how long they will live that way, because biological adjustments, growth, they are sharing critical organs, but then it's a challenge. Losing one means losing the other as well. So I think the best thing that could be done is that she or he, or the parents that is, could use some good medical advice. The only problem is this surgical approaches to things might be very expensive. So it would again come back to the media for us to raise funds for the same. But then I think medical approach would be okay, as opposed to personal opinion of the parents.
Okay, now Hassan, let me come to you with a political story. Page 8 of the Standard. It reads, Haji wants Waititu to be paid half of his salary. We saw Waititu's case, what happened, and he posted bail, but is Haji right to say that Waititu should be paid half of his salary?
Yusuf, that is hard. That it is hard because, see, in this country, it's very funny because when you are not concerned with when people involved in politics are facing some things that the society feel like it is unethical. So most of the time it's being handled like they need to make the public happy. You see, when common mwananchi hear that our governor is going to be given a half salary, Kenyans have gone on better now education. It's not like the 1990s whereby you could have felt that my mheshimiwa is being given less salary. For us, it doesn't make any difference. The issue is what Kenyans are facing is that what are the best action to be taken? Is it is not a common, is a state staff. It is not a government employee. At the end of the day is that there are things that, and there is a capacity our Heshimiwa are having, that even giving half salary is not even enough. So, Yusuf, half salary for me is okay. It's good for publicity, but at the end of the day, it's not much.
Okay.
So
Dada.
if I make a comment on the same, I think it's public knowledge that the body responsible for salaries is Salaries and Remuneration Commission. I don't think it's for Haji to dictate what salary the governor is given, or the ex-governor for that matter, or almost ex-governor. If the courts deem that he steps aside for the investigations to go on, you're being investigated for a probe of over 50 million Kenya shillings. I don't think someone can be strong enough to get the audacity to ask for a salary for that. Leave alone
Even the 15 million bail.
yeah, leave alone the ethical grounds to ask for the same. Not even talking about the lack of. I mean, it's very shameful that they're actually still asking for a salary to be paid. I think the investigations should just go on, and the governor should just remain the way he is, because who knows? We do not even know whether he's actually not guilty. As far as we are concerned, 53 million is not just 5 bob that can just drop and get lost out of nowhere. And then again, we are aware he paid a 15 million bail.
It's not just him, his wife. He also posted bail
for his wife as well.
So he should step. Should he step aside as the investigation?
But you see, what are the what are the best measures? You see, there are procedures for before even. In fact, half salary is for suspension for government officers. So there are measures. There are measures for such scenarios. If really he is guilty, there are some measures to take. If he is not guilty, there are also measures to take.
I think guilty or not is to be proven by the courts, which hasn't been done
yet. Which hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's move away from that story. I mean, clearly it's something that needs longer than the time we have to discuss. So let's go to Taifa Leo, page 2. It reads, hatima ya madaktari wa Cuba waliotekwa Mandera Aprili bado haijulikani. I mean, it's almost like we forgot about this story and moved on despite these people having been abducted.
That's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. If they were abducted and they're still, we don't know what happened to them, and unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know which one to choose, but the Al-Shabaab have not claimed anything, because probably it's believed the Al-Shabaab abducted them. I'm not really sure whether it's something good. I don't think it's fair to import people to the country to serve, and it's even more unfair that they're actually being abducted and the government does not do anything about it. I think the government should do a follow-up, because for one, it's going to really affect our relationship as a country with Cuba, and then secondly, it's going to taint us negatively. You know, it's going to pose us to the international community as one of the most insecure countries, especially on the professional ends. So I think the government should do something. But then again, you know, it will be brought to the limelight. The government will try and do something, or at least do something, if you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Then again, it's going to be swept under the carpet until someone else unravels it, and the cycle continues. But I think something urgently needs to be done, because you don't study medicine for 7 years to come and get abducted. It's not fair.
My brother's comment is, it is good, it's true. You can't study abroad then come being abducted in Kenya. Yusuf, you see, Cuban doctors came in Kenya with good intention. There was a place like, was it Samburu or the Pokot, whereby our doctors didn't even have a reach. It is good to, sometimes it's good to have some, you see, there's some specialty in medicine where our Kenyan universities, they're not, they've not dealt with it. Like, for example, if this scenario where an issue where we have 2 babies that are conjoined, you'll find the same family going abroad. So if the government is really bringing those specialties, the same specialty in Kenya, maybe their intention is to bring Cuban doctors and share something good. Maybe they exchange ideas, per se as the permanent jobs. Maybe it is good. But if the idea is that they are getting external doctors and Kenyan doctors they're not employed, then it is unfortunate. Concerning the same as my brother say, we need to work on our security issues. You remember the Westgate issue. You remember you remember the DUCT issue. So for us, we are just as Kenyans. What I can say, let us pray.
Let us pray.
but it is sad, Yusuf. It is sad. We import a doctor. He comes in our country. The intention of the doctor is to help us. So every Kenyan should take a responsibility of the security of our foreign doctors. So in case of any issue that the government cannot reach when the doctor is in distress, it's better also for us. But you find a situation whereby I can't say, I don't know if I can say that there were Kenyans who updated the doctor, the Sabah, because at the end of the day, they were working in Kenya. How did the guys who abducted the doctor enter in Kenya? How did they live with the doctors? You see, these are wazungus. You can't say that they were taken under magunia, they were wrapped. They were taken openly when people were seeing. There are some people who saw something. So if us as Kenyans, we can, as I said earlier, paradigm shift, whereby we can know the right thing and we can differentiate between the wrong thing and the right thing. We can come to a conclusion whereby we can have safety, we can have a good relation in the other countries, and at the end of the day, it's to our benefit. Yusuf.
And the fact that they were abducted, I mean, what does it say about our security?
That is it is not even that only, Yusuf. They were just a lesson. It's not. You remember, it is around 2 months since they were abducted. Is it 2 months? Yeah, you can remember the problem were following one problem after another. You remember at the same time we have the issue with the DUCT, the shooting. See, it's not a one-day occasion. It's like something that is recurring. Something that is recurring. So the government must just invest in security. We have good intelligence people. In fact, we usually even source for intelligence people to train our guys. So before some things can happen, and remember, there were some issues that before an occasion appear, there's some rumors. Kenyans intelligence should take rumors seriously. There are some countries, just a rumor is supposed to be investigated because it's a life and death matter. You can't say that it is just a rumor and have not investigated and find if it's true or wrong. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the Taifa Leo, page 5. Koti kuamua Agasti tarehe 8 ikiwa Waititu ataendelea na kazi. So August, the 8th of August is when the fate of Waititu is going to be decided by the courts. Should he continue working, Wadada?
No, I don't think he should. He shouldn't. But then, you know, my say, as well as yours, might have a little less weight compared to what is exactly going to happen. The question is it going to be a test on our judicial system, or is it going to be a repetition of a cycle that has been there over and over again? I think if for once, probably it might be unfortunate for him, but at least I think if for once we could have a culprit brought to book for something wrong they've done, at least it would set a pace. It would mark the onset of a trajectory that this country needs to take in matters fighting corruption. But then again, as I always say, in Kenya you always anticipate anything and everything. Who saw the nullification of the 2017 general election coming? So probably it could even go scot-free again. Lawyers are lawyers, and they use the same constitution that we use, and they quote it differently and interpret it differently. So anything that may come is anticipated, but if it was up to me, at least one person should be brought to book so that even if in future people might escape, but at least it would send some chills of fear down people's spines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hassan.
You see, there are a lot of politics in Kenya. When you can, there are some reasons for there's some arrests that are political. There are some arrests that are funny. Yeah, so at the end of the day, Yusuf, we leave for the court to decide. But what are the people of Kiambu thinking about their own governor? If the governor is performing, you see, you know your father than the way you know your father. So when someone says that your father is a thief, and at the end of the day, you know your father is an imam, what will you say? You're from Kiambu. And then if if the governor is performing, the people of Kiambu know. If he is not performing, they will be happy for the court to decide the best option. But what I can say, Yusuf, is that many a times it's like a Nigeria movie. You remember the Nigeria movie whereby you know the end, how this person will die at the end of the day. This poor person will become rich. You see, you know the end of the road, what will happen.
You say you're from Kiambu. Is YT2 performing?
I'm from Kiambu. This is a disclaimer. I'm a student at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. So yeah, I'm from Kiambu. I don't think he has such impacted on my life. I'm not really sure whether he has in any other person's life. But then I'm sure, for one, that the judicial decision making does not necessarily depend on how he performed. I think that is upon the Auditor General and every other thing. The judicial systems operate independently. So even if he was performing, which if you ask me, I really have a hard time affirming, his fate entirely depends on whether he's guilty or not, and that is to be decided by the prosecutors and how the judicial proceedings will go on. So let's put his performance aside and look at what he did. 53 million Kenya shillings. Yeah. That is not pocket change. Yeah.
That's not pocket change.
It's not.
So he shouldn't go back to the office?
He shouldn't.
He shouldn't.
Yeah.
For me, I can't say, because one, we are still waiting for the fate of the court to decide. And sometimes they say one mistake can justify the other mistake. So if Waititu is right, maybe he can continue. But if he's wrong, Yusuf, if he's wrong, we pray that maybe it can be a milestone for the other people.
Okay.
But if Waititu is right, the court should take the right measures, and the governor resume the office. People of Kiambu need their leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people of Kiambu need their leader.
Yeah, you see, Yusuf, without a governor, it means that the operations of the county can't go on. As per now, Kiambu is at standstill.
The deputy is taking over.
Most of the time, the deputy doesn't have much to do. It's like, do you remember, is it which county? Where the West Pokot said they can, was he Olanga Nyapo, who was the governor who said I can work alone? You remember even here in Nairobi, the governor has just been working alone. So, and most of the time, most of the deputy governors don't have much. They don't have the power to move shots. They can't take full charge and control, most of them, because the governor is still there. You can't outshine your boss at the end of the day.
Hassan and Odada, that is definitely a topic that will take, it can take us the whole day. Unfortunately, on that note, on Waititu's case is when we've come to the end of the newspaper review. So thank you very much, Odada, and thank you very much, Hassan, for coming. For you at home, don't go far, because when we come back, it is Tech Tuesday time, and you don't want to miss that. I'm your host, Yusuf Farah, and this is the Sabah Show. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Waswahili wanasema chilea utapata mwana si wako. Kwa majina ni Muhammad Uhura na hii ni Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Kwa jina nilobarikiwa nalo ni Ibtisam Jamal. Ungana nami katika Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Na kwetu wanatambua kama Mariam Wacharo. You're watching the Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Are you finding difficulty to find us on Azam decoders? Rescan your Azam decoders and find us on channel 008. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Imagine you are walking in the street. You see a homeless man curled up on the floor. It seems like he really needs money, so you want to help him. You pull out a £10 note from your pocket and hand it to him. The man takes the money from you, but instead of saying thank you, he does something else. He curses you. How would you react? As well as feeling shocked, most of us would naturally be upset. In fact, many of us would feel angry that the man spoke so rudely when he should have been grateful. And a lot of us would find it difficult not to say or do something negative back. Let's see how someone reacted in a similar true story, except the true story was even more intense. The man was not just a random stranger on the street, he was a cousin of Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. And Abu Bakr did not just give a one-off donation, he regularly gave charity to his cousin and helped him. And the cousin did not say bad words about Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. No, his cousin did something even worse. He slandered Abu Bakr's beloved daughter Aisha radiallahu anha, saying that she had committed adultery. As a result, the entire city was buzzing with the rumor, even though Aisha radiallahu anha was innocent. And when she found out what people were saying about her, she cried continuously day and night until she thought her liver would burst from crying so much. Imagine how Abu Bakr radiallahu anh felt in this situation. Imagine hearing that the entire city is questioning your daughter's honor, and you see that her marriage is now on the verge of collapse, and she is in your house not sleeping, not eating, and just crying non-stop. And then her innocence is revealed in the Quran. You find out it was all a lie, and you find out that your cousin, whom you gave so much money to, is the one who actively spread this lie. Your cousin stabbed you in the back and helped to create this devastation. How would you react now? Well, Abu Bakr's first reaction was that he vowed never to spend on his cousin again. Naturally, he was upset. However, Allah wanted a higher standard. So a verse was revealed in the Quran. It said, "And let not those among you who are blessed with graces and wealth swear not to give to their relatives, the poor, and those who left their homes for Allah's cause. Let them pardon and forgive." Do you not love that Allah should forgive you? And Allah is the most forgiving, the most merciful. When Abu Bakr radiallahu anh heard this, he immediately said, "By Allah, I would love that Allah forgives me." And he vowed that he would never stop spending on his cousin. This one verse caused Abu Bakr radiallahu anh
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Is investing money in different companies like Coca-Cola, Nestle, etc. for profit and loss permissible or not? The one asking the question, brother or sister, I advise you not to invest in such companies. First and foremost, because by and large, these companies do invest and deal in haram. And it's not accepted to deal in a company that is dealing with haram. So my advice to you, and what the scholars, by and large, the mainstream of the scholars advises, it's not permissible for us to invest in such companies. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. If a person is wearing a job ID card with his picture, and the card is about 1 inch in size, and he stands next to us or behind us in salah, would it affect our salah? This is similar to the previous question. No, brother or sister, it would not affect your salah. It would not invalidate it. Affecting your salah means with regards and respect to invalidating it. It will not nullify your salah. But if it's affecting your salah with regards and respect to distraction and like a bit of withering away your attention and concentration, then that is actually a means of distracting one's salah and his concentration. And this is not a small sin. A lot of people come with flashy clothes, or clothes with animate pictures, or clothes with jerseys, football jerseys people wearing. A lot of scholars do not advise this in salah, in particularly in salah. You have to wear decently so that you can concentrate fully in front of your Almighty. You're having a meeting and a spiritual chat with your Creator. It's a hotline, take it that way. So placing destructive objects or things and elements that will actually divert people's attention and their concentration, these are not accepted. And such a person should remove his job ID card and place it in his pocket, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I asked my husband for a face wash, which he didn't get, and I swore upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I wouldn't talk to him. Do I have to give kafara? Basically, sister, this is quite a sensitive question, because obedience to your husband is compulsory. It's obligatory in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith, لو كنت آمرا أحدا أن يسجد لأحد لأمرت الزوجة أن تسجد للزوج. The Prophet ﷺ explicitly said in this narration, if I was to ask anyone to prostrate in front of anyone, then I would have directed the wife to prostrate in front of the husband. Now this is a general hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, tradition of the Prophet ﷺ, that reflects obedience to the husband in everything, only if it has to do with something against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you don't have to obey him. But in this case now, you asked him to get you a face wash, and he didn't do so, and you swore upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this was wrong. First and foremost, you have to repent for this. Number two, the Prophet ﷺ said something about oaths. He said, if anyone takes an oath upon something, then later on he or she deems otherwise to be better, something else to be better than upon which she or he took an oath, then the Prophet ﷺ directed such a person to do that what he deems to be better. So in this case, you have to take back your oath, meaning you have to do that what's better, that's talking to your husband back, and you have to give the kafara. And as I said, you have to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, because that's regarded as a sin. Is life insurance allowed in Islam? Every kind of insurance is not acceptable in Islam. Be it life insurance, health insurance, even car insurance is not accepted in Islam. Why? Because it falls under the principle of the Prophet ﷺ in trading that is called gharar. Gharar is known as uncertainty, if you would translate it in English, so to speak. The basic translation of it is uncertainty. What happens in life insurances, health insurances, and car insurances is that you're paying for something you really don't know if it's going to happen. You're paying for an accident for them to recompensate for that particular accident, and you really don't know if you're going to enter into an accident. And for instance, if you're going to enter into an accident and they are going to pay back and recompense you for something greater than what you have paid, that's not acceptable. And this is why insurances are not accepted in Islam. With regards to Islamic insurance, because there are some companies outside there and corporates who deal with Islamic insurance. Now, this necessitates conditions. These are conditions stipulated by the scholars, and this is totally a different way how to go about insurance than the conventional method. Come to the question that then why should we, or why do we have car insurances on our car? Then the scholars say that this is due to concession. This is a concession given because we cannot place our cars on the road if we do not have an insurance. So just for the sake of that, with respect to that, the scholars say just buy or go for the list insurance that can place the car on the road, and that's a third party. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wallahu a'lam.
Quote of the day. Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu said, Never make a decision in anger. And never make a promise in happiness.
Akawa Abdul Muttalib ampenda sana Mtume sallam hata kushinda watoto wake. Na Abdul Muttalib, Mtume Muhammad sallam alikuwa ni mjukuu wake. Abu Talib na babake Mtume sallam dimba ndugu, tumbo moja, mama moja, baba moja. Baada ya miaka miwili Abdul Muttalib kufa, alipofika miaka 10 wakaamua kufunga safari kwenda Sham, kwenda kufanya biashara. Faqala rahib, huyu mtoto akifika akionekana dola ya Rum watamuua. Akaamua kurudi kuweza kuishi katika mji wa Makka kwa mara nyingine.
Waswahili wanasema chelea utapata mwana si wako. Kwa majina ni Muhammad Uhura na hii ni Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Kwa jina nilobarikiwa nalo ni Ibtisam Jamal. Ungana nami katika Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Na kwetu wanatambua kama Mariam Mwacharo. You're watching the Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Welcome back, viewers, wherever you're watching us from. It is now time to talk matters technology on the Sabah Show. It is Tech Tuesday now. Get this. You're innocently browsing online when an ad pops up that reads, "You are the lucky winner of the new iPhone X. Click on this link to follow and claim your prize." And being the innocent Kenyan or innocent person that we are, we go there, we click, and that is where the drama begins. You go ahead and you ask for your personal details, and in a bid to win this prize, you go ahead and give this information, and just like that, someone is able to scam you. This is something that majority of us are familiar with. Online scams, being hacked and everything. And on Tech Tuesday today, we want to ask, how can we defend ourselves? Who are these people that are doing this? And what are the necessary measures that we can take to make sure that we curb this for good? In studio with me is Richard Bill, cybersecurity researcher. I have Geoffrey Obocha, network administrator, and Christy Mwende, engineering alumnus from JKUAT, and also the inventor of a robot. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Without further ado, let's just get right into it. And the first question is a general question. Have you guys ever been scammed online? Let's start with you.
I have been scammed online before,
Okay.
but it was I lost money on the public like scam.
Okay.
It was a popular scam in like 2015. Yeah.
Okay,
So
how did this happen?
it was about clicking a link. I was naive back then. I didn't know these things. You could click a link to get money. So the more links are clicked by the people, the more your amount accumulates in your account. So I lost money in that scam.
How much did you lose?
Can't say
Okay,
it.
all right.
It was 4,500.
Okay.
You were to pay that amount for your account to be upgraded. So I think it's a lesson I learned. So what I can say is fool me once, shame on them. So fool me twice,
shame on you.
Shame on me.
Okay. Jeffrey, what about you?
Yeah, being a first entrant into the networking or into the computer world, you will fall prey of these things. And I remember the first scam I fell into, it was a link which came when I was browsing, and then they required me to enter my phone number. And the most obvious, when I finished the process, then I found that my credit could be deducted automatically from my phone account.
Wow.
So I had to follow up with the mobile operator to stop that application. But then it is a common phenomena around the tech world. When you are the first entrant into the field, you will fall a prey of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monday, ever been a victim?
Not really, but not because of lack of opportunity. Like, I've clicked on things. I don't know if you see these ads, iPhone winning. Like when I was really naive, first year somewhere, iPhone winning, share this message, click, I don't know, share your email. So I have clicked on them, but at the moment, maybe they'd require me to pay 1,000 or something. I was still in a naive space where I couldn't pay. So it wasn't for lack of opportunity. It was just, in the moment, there was nothing to scam me from.
So the guys in the set have been scammed before. Monday has been smart, in quotes. But the fact that we as people go ahead to click these links and go ahead try to claim prizes, in quotes. I mean, what does he say about the Kenyan culture?
It's that we are easily manipulated. That's what I can say. You know, these people create these links. They know they'll, at the end of the day, what they want is financial gain from you. So they make it seem like to manipulate you psychologically, so that at the end of the day, you do what they want you to do, so they can get the money. So, and these cyber criminals, they are very smart. They make these links, they do their research, they know you'll be manipulated, they know which colors to use on their website, so that you can be attracted, so that you can click on those links.
Okay.
Yeah.
Geoffrey, can you give us like the type of scams that are available?
So the type of scams which we have around, we have dating and romance. That is one of them. Then we have the other one, this petting. If you are playing Rotary, you will fall prey of that. And then I think those are the most obvious ones, which I know we are used to them.
Now that you mentioned dating and romance,
yeah,
how do people go about this? Because I mean, you see online, we've seen online dating before, but then you go online and you find someone and they just start swindling money from you.
Yeah, that is a valid question, because these scammers, if we might get a genesis of them, they are good and smart people. They will obviously gather your information, know what you like. Maybe, for example, you are dating patterns. They will harvest that information, they gather it, then they know maybe this guy likes dating this kind of people. Then they will get there, and with the moment they have your digital footprints, there now you will start seeing the pop-ups coming to you, into you what you are browsing there. Then if the moment now you get interested, oh, this is my stuff. The moment you click, you fall a prey of that.
Okay, you want to add on that?
This romance fraud, it has been a thing of the West, but now we are witnessing it in our country. It's whereby, like, you pretend to be in love with someone. You collect all the information that you can. There are bank details, there are PIN, passwords, so that at the end of the day, you have used love to scam that person. Yeah. And also creating fake profiles on dating sites like Tinder. You create a very good profile that it's not you, but a fake profile to use to get people, victims, so that you can scam them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monday, why is it that despite knowing that we clearly didn't register for such a promo of being told we've won such a thing, we still go ahead and click the link?
the human psychology, I think, is what these people use to work against us. I think humans, we have a need sometimes for thrill, gambling. I think gambling is becoming like a rising thing in Kenya. It's like that thrill of, I might be the one that gets it, this might be the one that works. It's that thrill, that thing that I may get this iPhone, I might get this might be real. Sometimes also I think, despite maybe sometimes knowing that this person who is this dating and romance that they're talking about, knowing that this person might not really even be real, it might not be true, I feel that these scammers mostly harvest and mostly manipulate the human psychology. They manipulate the human need for love, for knowing someone's texting you there late night, telling you nice things. I think that's why we still click, because maybe as humans, that's just the psychology of how we are.
Okay. Does it show that we are needy people?
Yes, it shows a lot of need, a lot of vulnerability. I think also a lot of problem in our system, a lot of problem within the identity of people in our system, a lot of loopholes.
All right, Richard, get this. According to a report on the October to December 2018-2019 statistics by the Communications Authority of Kenya, over 10.2 million cyber events were detected during the quarter, compared to 3.8 million in the previous quarter. I mean, these are staggering numbers. I mean, what can we credit the rise to?
We can credit the rise to the internet penetration in the country. Kenya is the leading. It's actually number 2 in Africa with internet penetration, and also we can attribute these cyber incidences to the rise in number of smartphone devices people that are having. Right now, you can find you have like 2 smartphone devices. So many people are uptaking smartphone devices, so increasing the chances of being scammed and increasing the chances of these cyber incidences. Also, like now, the tools for committing these crimes, these cyber incidences, they are readily available on the internet. You can go, right now you can just start teaching yourself on the internet, and you can be a good hacker.
Okay.
And you can come up with something, you can scam people. So I can attribute all this to the internet.
Okay.
The internet has made the world so small, and right now I'm here, I can hack somebody who is maybe in Tanzania or in the US and get money from them. Yeah, like these issues, like you see, it has made the world to be a smaller place. You saw the other day, like the Nigerians who were arrested in Kenya, in Mtwapa, for using the first lady's name to scam people. You see how technology has made it to be easy. They were doing it from Nigeria, but they came to Kenya and they were arrested. So this cyber incidents.
We credit it to the entry of the internet. Geoffrey, you want to add something?
Yeah, I want to add on what my brother said here. If you read, there are 2 reports, one which has been released by the CAK, and another one it has been released by the Business Today. The 2 reports, he has said that there is on the Business Today, they say there is that internet take-up. It means you cannot take up if you don't have the gadget to enable you access that internet. Now the question we beg to ask here, it is, as these people take that internet and they have the gadgets which are affordable, what is the public awareness, or what is the education which has been put in place to ensure that these people, they are taught that these are the techniques? So that is one of the indicator that these people, yes, they are using the internet, but they might not know the danger which is underlying what they are using. Okay. So that can also contribute to the rising numbers we are seeing there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the prizes scam, there's also the dating romance scams where people create fake IDs, like Richard has said, and go on to indulge innocent people until they successfully scam them. I mean, does it mean, Mwende, that we cannot trust dating sites anymore? Or do we just go back to the analog age of dating, where you just go and throw stones at your possible spouse's house?
Cat call. I do not think that necessarily means that. I think then that calls to the issue of the regular person, a simple person who is not a techie, a person who just has a smartphone, knowing how to check the legitimacy of a site, knowing how to know, is this legitimate, is this a mimic? However, some of these mimics are really good. Some of these Trojan horses are really good. They are programmed very well to completely look like Tinder, so that you just input your information, or to completely look like a Facebook page, so that you give them your password, they can just get your keystrokes in there. So I think that just calls into question how then a regular person, a regular mwananchi can check the legitimacy of a website. I think the simplest way is when you're Googling, when you just open your web browser, up there's usually HTTPS where your URL is, just up there. Next to it, there's supposed to be if you're using the Google platform, there's supposed to be a green written secure with a padlock. The padlock should be locked. So I think there needs to be a greater education of how to check the legitimacy rather than fearing that it's not legitimate. Because I think so many people have met their peoples online.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have something to add on that?
Yeah. To just add on what my sister has said, we do not need to fear. And I was sharing with some of my friends elsewhere, I was telling them that this might be one of the worst terrorism around in the tech savvy, but we don't need to fear. We have the things, we have the machinery, we have the experts. So don't fear to date. You can date the net. We have so many successful stories we can attribute. We have seen people meet on Facebook, they marry and they make a good couple. So there is no need of fearing. The internet is secure. It is only that as a country, we need to up our game and to mobilize the resources we have. We coordinate them. Then we have the online. It would be very secure and very fantastic, because we cannot afford to avoid the internet. This is the future. And now that we are there, we need to take the challenges and tackle them the way they come.
Okay. Richard, do you agree with this?
We should not fear technology. We should use it very well, even though some people are using it in a bad way to harm us, to make profit from it, by scamming people. We should just, I think technology has changed our lives. The internet has changed our lives. As my brother said, some people have met online and they have married. They are very, so it has been good. So measures should be taken to secure the cyberspace in general.
Okay.
Like people need to be educated, creating awareness. Like for now, we're creating awareness by this show, so that people can learn these things are there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So cyber education.
Cyber education and awareness.
Okay. So my panelists have agreed we should go for cyber education now. Do you have a story of whether you've been scammed before that you'd like to share, so that our panelists like Geoffrey and Richard have been scammed you'd like to share? You can share it with us through our social media platforms, that is Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Horizontv Kenya, or our SMS line. Don't go too far. When we come back, we try to find out the solutions. This is Tech Tuesday. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Muhammad from Muslim Mastery, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips to discipline your inner self. Tip 1. Seek refuge from shaitan. As soon as you get a negative thought about someone, realize that shaitan is playing with your mind. Don't let him win, and instead ask Allah to protect you from him. Tip 2. Focus on the facts. When something happens that you don't understand or like, Identify the facts that a fly on the wall would have seen. By taking a cold, hard look at the facts, you'll see that the situation is a lot less dramatic than you originally thought. Tip 3. Analyze your interpretation. How are you interpreting the facts? This is usually what is triggering your negative emotions. Accept that you've added this interpretation yourself and that you can choose to have an empowering interpretation instead. Tip 4. Don't make people into villains. As difficult as it may feel, let go of the idea that someone else in your situation is the enemy who is out to get you. Stop making others wrong and yourself right. Tip 5. Avoid playing the victim. By choosing to put yourself into the role of the innocent victim, you're avoiding taking responsibility for your situation. Instead, be proactive and look at what you can do to make the situation better. Tip 6. Make excuses for others. The Sunnah encourages us to think good of others and make excuses for them whenever possible. In fact, Umar radiallahu anhu said, "Do not think badly of a word uttered by your brother when you can find a good interpretation for it." Tip 7. Take responsibility for yourself. Allah has given you free will, so no matter how difficult any situation may feel, it's entirely up to you how you choose to react. Remember that the test of life is not what happens to you, but whether you deal with it in a way that is pleasing to Allah. May Allah give me and you the tawfiq to implement these tips. Jazakallah khair for watching.
Walk with us as we tell you the stories of our society.
Wengine atavaa mtandio kichwani, utafikiri ni kijihandkerchief.
Enzi za wakati wa kusema ati alisema, akasisitiza, akihutubia wanahabari, enzi hizo hazipo tena.
Kwa kuchimbua na kunakili matukio kwa undani.
We want to create current awareness,
ranging from adventure, human interest and inspirational stories,
ili kuweza kukuelimisha, kukuburudisha na kukubumbuisha.
Words have been said, but now it is time to lay the foundation that will impact the world.
Terrorism is terrorism, no matter who is behind the trigger.
Are you finding difficulty to find us on Azam Decoders? Rescan your Azam Decoders and find us on channel 008. Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Welcome back to Tech Tuesday with me, your host Yusuf Farah. We're still discussing matters technology. In the studio with me, Geoffrey, Richard and Mwende. I'll go direct to you, Richard. How do I, as a layman, someone who is at home, identify whether a website or a link is legit or it's not? Because I mean, not everyone is tech knowledgeable.
Yeah. There are some basic stuff that you can do to identify whether a website is legit or not. First of all, by checking the domain name. The domain name is like the web address. Like, for example, yours is horizontv.co.ke. So you can find that a person has created a replica of your website and call it, added like the T has changed it to be like a 1. So you can look out for the domain name, the loopholes in the domain name. Some people use numbers like, for example, Yahoo, Yahoo. So you can change the 2 zeros to be, the 2 O's to be zeros. So you can see that's a fake one. That's the first method of checking if it's a legit one. The second method is by going to the About Us page. If if a website is legit, they must have about us. Even I'm sure your website, you have about us, the location.
Yeah.
So a fake website will not have information like about us, where are we located, where our address, our phone numbers, things like that. They will not have. So users of this website should look out for information like that. And another method, I think I use me as there's some website that you take the URL and you put inside there and you run it. It scans for viruses. It's called Virus Total. You can go and check virustotal.com. It checks for viruses on these websites and malware. And another method of checking for these fake websites is by checking the spelling. You know, these people, these scammers, they are doing these things very fast. So they tend to make spelling errors, typos on their website. So if you see many typos on a website, just know it's a fake one. Because a professional website, they must have taken time to look at every word. Even if they have typos, it cannot be as much as like the fake ones.
Right.
And check the date of creation of the website. You can find that our website has been created last week. You would definitely know that this one is a scam. Our website that has been existent, they tend to run, when you search them, they tend to come up fast on the search engines. Yeah.
Right.
So those are some of the methods a layman can use to check.
Geoffrey, possible more ways of checking?
Yeah. Advice number one, when I usually meet with people and they ask a similar question, in some of us who have gone to the tech classes, we are taught the standards a certain application should meet. For instance, if you are using the Windows platform, we know that the closing, if you've opened a window, the closing button should be on the upper right corner. But you will find some crazy people, they have inverted the window and maybe this on the left corner down there. Now you are driven to ask yourself, now they have raised your curiosity to a certain level. It is out of that curiosity now you will fall into their trap. So I usually tell them, always have a technical know-how, at least a basic one, how things work on your platform. And another one is just to also do the windows. For example, you are working on your Word document. There are those error messages which pop up and they come in form of a small window. We are used to, the mind is used to that the cancel button should be on your right, and if you want to accept the OK button should be on your left. But then when they want you, they have read, as I earlier told you, these are intelligent people, they learn your psychology and they know that is how our mind is used to. So they will invert the patterns. The moment you see such a thing, do not be in a rush to click that thing. Just let it go. Then the other methods which my sister had alluded earlier to, always whenever you are entering your address in the URL, there is nowadays we use HTTPS. That is, S means secure. Ensure that website has got that S, and always that HTTPS should be in green. And another one, other websites, if you are accessing top government websites, you will see a green padlock which has been closed. Those are some of the indicators. The last, and which is the general principle, do not do things in a rush. Whenever you have an objective, when I get to this site, this is what I need to do. You will get that they are so intelligent that they get to a point whereby what you want, they will bring a photo of what you want. They put it on top of the content which is hidden behind, which is malicious. The moment you click, then you are redirected to another website. Immediately, that is also another form of indication that you are headed in a wrong direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, there's what Mwende said about the padlock. existing on the. Now let's talk about finances and online banking, something most of us do. Now the DCI recently released a list of 130 bank hackers wanted in connection with hacking bank systems. I mean, what does this mean for our banks, especially for people who put their finances in bank accounts?
It spells doom for the banks. These banks are spending sleepless nights trying to safeguard our cash that we have put entrusted them with us. So the DCI, those 130 people, mostly they are what we call insiders. The insiders in the banks work with hackers to try and penetrate these systems. Right now, like if you are an insider, let's say in Bank X, I can give you a malware with a flash disk. You go and install it. You go and plug it. Just plugging it in your computer, in your work computer. So I could have gained access to your entire infrastructure, the entire network. I will be inside your entire network. So these banks, they are increasingly in spending in technology. They are bringing us apps, online banking. So trying to protect all this infrastructure, it's a big hurdle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Monday, you'd like to add on that?
Yes, I think that also what it means for our banks and generally for our country is that we are not yet in a space where we are seeing cybersecurity as a critical issue during the building of a system. We are, I think in the morning we were just talking amongst ourselves and we were saying how our country is a reactionary system. We react to things, we react. We do not prevent, we react. We wait for there to be the choking things in the air, then we react, we react. So I think it points also to a trait, a culture in our system where people do not see during the building of a system, online banking system of a bank, that the cybersecurity should be a key part of it. There should be a person that actually just takes care of the cybersecurity. It shouldn't be an afterthought. I think it is an afterthought, and this is why it is, the systems are like loopholes. It's like if you build a house, and then the door is an afterthought. What do you mean? And then the windows are an afterthought. Yes.
The CBK, Central Bank of Kenya, in 2017 released some standard guidelines for all the banks in terms of cybersecurity. So like now, let's say Bank X got hacked, they need to report it by 24 hours to the central bank, and they are fined like millions of money because of being hacked. Why didn't you take these measures to protect the money entrusted to you by the public? So I think the CBK is doing a lot in terms of cybersecurity. It's trying to bring all the banks to a minimum. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And what does this mean for a normal banker? Does this mean our money is safe in the banks, or like I asked in the previous time, should we go back to our analog systems of putting our cash in the mattresses or storing them in graves?
That is an interesting question. But as I earlier told you, there is no need to worry. As my sisters alluded to, there is an authority in cybersecurity called William Sterling. He's a person who has written several computer books, and he says that when we are developing these applications, as she rightly put it, security comes something after we have developed and deployed the system out in this working. That is now when we go to the drawing board, start reviewing, oh, here we need to patch, we need to do this in order to achieve the security. But then if, and you mostly if you are working in an organization, maybe the people who are drafting and stipulating these objectives that this is what we want to do, maybe they are not tech savvy people. They go sit in a boardroom and you are there in your IT room. They bring the document. They want within 24, we want this. When you try to advise them that this is not it cannot be done within the time you've given me because there are a lot of things, then you are told simply we can fire you, we get on board another expert who can do the work for us. So the haste to do things
and the fact that
and not to involve the IT people from the ground upward when you are drafting some of these projects is really what is landing the banking sections into that trouble. The other one my sister said here was that of reacting. I can give you an example. When M-Pesa was coming into the market, there was that tussle between the banks and the M-Pesa. There was that rivalry that the M-Pesa is going to take the banking sector. After there was a market research and they saw that we can integrate this M-Pesa into our normal banking system and we can accrue a lot of them, then banks were in a rush. And that is where now you can see we have the Android applications where we can transact our financial matters on it. Then those applications, it means they were developed in a rush, leaving out major critical security issues. But as I've said, we have enough security experts who can attend to those issues. There is no need whatsoever to worry that so long as the right measures are put in place.
The right measures should be put in place.
Yeah.
Let's get a quick take home from all of you. I'll start with Mwende. Like, what are the lessons that we can get from this?
I think as a country there are a lot of committees that are put up there, a lot of authorities to protect the cyberspace, to protect the online space. But as usual, as we all know, this is our country. So we are likely to get there maybe 30 years from today. I know that sounds super pessimistic, but it's a very realistic view. So I think a take home for me would be for the regular mwananchi, for the regular person to inform themselves on matters of protecting themselves, because I don't think online fraud is going anywhere. I think what's gonna keep us safe is that we protect ourselves, is that we learn how to check, is this website legitimate? What he was saying, can I just be slow and just read through? When that error pops up, can I just check what they're saying before just the haste of just clicking and constantly? I think a major take home for me would be for the regular mwananchi to inform themselves, and for what you're starting here for, maybe for the media to create an awareness of online fraud within the mwananchi, so that the mwananchi can protect themselves, because CBK is doing things, CAK is supposed to do things, blah, 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 but we all know it's not going to be done. So I think the best measure to take is to look out for ourselves.
Okay. Yes. Geoffrey, Richard, sorry. Before we go for the break, your take home.
My take will be awareness and education, and also like policies should be and laws should be passed. Like the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act that was passed last year, as you know, it was suspended. The courts need to unsuspend that bill, that law, so that most of these cyber criminals are prosecuted, and it can be serve as an example to others who wants to join for financial gain. This field for the cybercrime field for financial gain. So, and also awareness and education. Our people need to be educated to protect their passwords, to use antiviruses on phones. Do you have an antivirus on your phone?
No, but I'm definitely getting one after this.
Yeah, so, and things like that, protecting your password, using strong passwords, and PIN, not sharing them. Yeah.
So, awareness.
Yeah, awareness.
We've agreed, all of us, that awareness is the way forward.
Yeah.
Well, on that note from my panelists, we're going to take another break, but when we come back, it is time for Christy, who has invented a robot, to tell us about it. Don't go too far. This is Tech Tuesday. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Waswahili wanasema chilea utapata mwana si wako. Kwa majina ni Muhammad Ukura na hii ni Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Na kwetu wanatambua kama Mariam Mwacharo. You're watching the Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
Kwa jina nilobarikiwa nalo ni Ibtisam Jamal. Ungana nami katika Sabah Show
on Horizon TV.
On the next episode,
kumwambia mwenzako nyamaza na wewe ushasema pia.
Ushasema.
Ukimwambia wewe nyamaza bwana, watu hutuba endelea na wewe utakuwa ushasema. Tumesema faman lagha wa man lagha fala jum'ata lahu. Mwenye kuleta upuzi wa maneno jambo lote hakuna Ijumaa. Kwa hivyo mtu ameingia taka nyamaza kimya, asikize hutuba hata kama lugha haielewi, akete asikilize. Ndio wasio mtume kwamba ansitu wastami'u la'allakum turhamun. Msikilize ile hutuba mtarehemewa na Mwenyezi Mungu.
Kuna wale ambao itikadi zao kwamba Lailatul Qadr ni tarehe 27 basi. Wanasahau kwamba Mtume sallallahu alaihi wasallam anasema ikiwa unahitaji kupata fadhila huo usiku, chagua katika zile autar, katika idadi za witri, kwa sababu wengi katika maulama wanasema ule usiku hauitu usiku mmoja, bali nenda ikipishana. Huenda mwakani ikaunga tarehe 21 usiku wake, mwaka ujao utaunga tarehe 23. Kwa hivyo Lailatul Qadr inaenda ikipishana.
Walk with us as we tell you the stories of our society.
Wengine atavaa mtandio kichwani, utafikiri ni kijihandkerchief.
Enzi za wakati wa kusema ati alisema, akasisitiza, akihutubia wanahabari, enzi hizo hazipo tena.
Kuchimbua na kunakili matukio kwa undani.
We want to create current awareness,
ranging from adventure, human interest and inspirational stories,
ili kuweza kukuelimisha, kukuburudisha na kukubumbuisha.
Words have been said, but now it is time to lay the foundation that will impact the world.
Terrorism is terrorism, no matter who is behind the trigger.
Quote of the day. Ali bin Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu said, "Never make a decision in anger, and never make a promise in happiness."
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Welcome back to our third and final segment of the Tech Tuesday. And imagine surveillance and imagine a robot that does surveillance. And now don't imagine it anymore, because Christy here is the proud inventor of a gadget that does live video surveillance. I mean, a robot that does surveillance. What is the story behind this invention?
The story behind this invention is that in our country, we realized that in our country it is so difficult for a young person to come up with a business and to constantly monitor it at a low cost. Where this started is I have a friend who was who wanted to start a warehouse invention back at home. He's from Nyanza. And he wanted to monitor it, but there was no way for him to monitor it without it incurring a lot of installation cost and he just left campus, so he couldn't do it. So where this idea mainly came from was that surveillance is so key in the beginning of a business, to check a business in the beginning of a business, the surveillance to monitor your stock, things like that. And we noticed that in our country, the surveillance solutions that exist are really, really costly. So that is basically where the idea began, because I started from a point of thinking, how do we make surveillance more affordable? How do we make surveillance more reasonable for the small business, for the small startup company?
Okay.
Yes.
And what was the inspiration behind this?
The inspiration was for it to be affordable, for especially young people that are starting to get into the market business. I think recently there was an issue of a person who had posted on Twitter. There was an issue there. There was a fight going on there, that this person who is clearly employed was telling young people, your problem is when you're unemployed, your problem is that you're not beginning your own employment, right? It is like the culture of shaming you. Siwanzishe. Kwa nini unatafuta kazi? Siwe utafute, siwanzishe. Siwe create kazi. And yet in our country it is so expensive to create your kazi unambo create. So we noticed that surveillance being a key part of some of these issues, especially in farming, because so many people want to farm, but you can't farm in Nairobi. Where are you farming? In Doni, somewhere where surely there's no land. So it would be up country, and you need to constantly monitor it. And we noticed that that process of monitoring, that process of surveilling is expensive. And so to lower that for the young person who's being told, for this person we am create kazi, for you to create your kazi basi. Yes.
All right. And walk me through the building process of this gadget. Like
okay.
From the beginning, from the idea, inspiration, to actually building it and putting it on the road to move.
The road to move. Okay. How we started was when we realized we wanted to do something small. We noticed that we can do a small portable device, a small portable robot that we just move around with a camera that streams back. Normally, these robots that are made stream back through the microprocessor, which is Raspberry. So one of our main objectives was to avoid Raspberry Pi, because Raspberry Pi comes to around 3,500. When you use a regular Arduino board, it's 1,500. So where we began was to look at how can we lower this cost to the most, how can this be the lowest possible. So we began there. Then we drew our circuit, because of course we needed to power our components. After we had settled on Arduino now, we drew our components, we drew our circuit on a website, not on a website, on a software called Eagle. Then we printed this on a PCB. When you print on a PCB now, it's just like the things are connected on themselves. It connects the cables for you. Then we now built our chassis. As we will see, we built our chassis, then we attached the circuit. After we had built, we realized there was an issue of powering, because we had input a battery, and that issue of constantly changing battery, that also increases cost. Remember, one of our main objectives was to lower cost, lower cost. So we also included a power circuit, charging circuit to be more specific. The power circuit powers the robot, but the charging circuit is just a small part of the circuit that we added to our PCB board that now charges the robot, so that you will just have it work around, and then you'll charge it, have it work around, and it uses very little voltage. It can even charge off a solar panel, which would make this now a more versatile application. A person in farming can use it. A person in Nyanza, deep in Kitui, I come from Kitui, a person in all these areas can use it, and even a person within Nairobi can still use it for surveillance.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, before I go to my next question, Geoffrey and Richard, do you have questions for her?
Yeah, I have a question, but then I must congratulate her for the good work she has done. This is, you can see from our first segment, I told you we should hold our heads high, because we have the tech people here who are going to improve our future. So the question I have for her is, what are your future plans to take this into commercial production? Yeah.
Okay, for the one we have made right now was a prototype. Some things like IP camera, we did not really use an IP camera. We used an Android phone to mimic an IP camera. So our future plans is to put in like an actual IP camera, and to start to commercialize it, to start to approach selling platforms where we we can see how to commercialize this, because we don't want to make this a corporate thing, because I think it becomes expensive when it goes into the corporate process. We want to make it as simple as you can just get it from maybe the click of just one buyer, so that it's easier for a person who's beginning and cheaper for them to be able to access it.
Okay. Richard?
Another question, why Arduino, not Raspberry Pi, which we know is very effective than Arduino?
Because Raspberry Pi is expensive, and one of our main objectives was to lower cost. See, if you use a Raspberry Pi that's 3,500, the IP camera comes to 400, already production cost is at 7,000. You're gonna charge that thing at maybe 15,000. But when we stick with Arduino, because the functionalities we put, it's things that are simple that Arduino can do. It is to sense motion, and then to just actuate into GSM, to actuate into motion. It's simple functionalities that Arduino can do. The necessity of Raspberry Pi normally is usually to transmit video. Arduino does not have high baud rates to be able to transmit video into a server. But now when we bring in the idea of an IP camera does that for you. It eliminates the need for the microprocessor to be able to do that.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is surveillance the only thing that this robot can do as of now?
As of now, yes, surveillance is the only thing it can do. It just senses you when you walk into the room. The basic functionality is that it has sensors. It senses 360. So it will sense any form of motion within itself, and then it will send out a text to a programmed number through the GSM module that we have there. And then now you can log on to your web app where you've been configured, you just registered, a whole database. And then now from there you can be able to access your own footage, and you can be able to control the robot from there.
Okay.
Yes.
And how do you keep it running on the daily?
On the daily?
Yes.
Yes. We have included a charging module where now after it runs out, the battery that we have used currently is 2200 mAh. Basically what most phones have, around 3000, around that range. So that robot does not consume so much power. It will go for around 3 hours, 4 hours. And that is when it's actively monitoring, when you're actively moving it around, right? If it's just staying there, just sensing constantly, it can go to up to a day, sorry. And when it runs out of charge, as we have said, we just inserted a charging circuit for it. You charge it, it consumes very little. It requires very little power to charge. You can charge it off of a solar panel. These small Safaricom solar panels that are being sold over here.
Okay. I like the fact that you say that it can be used anywhere and everywhere, from the remote places all the way to the urban settings. Now, you said that it's a prototype. What are the plans that you've put in place, like to make now the gadget?
Yes.
Yeah.
We plan to begin seriously producing it, because we want to first sell it first, maybe to pitch it to an organization that can fund it, the production of it, so that we would now fully produce it without the prototypes, so that there is no Android camera mimicking anything, so that the sensors are more efficient. One of the things we noticed during the making of this and just monitoring how it behaved is that we had used a regular IAR sensor. We would want a PIR sensor, sorry. Now we would want to move into using an IR sensor because it's more accurate. It avoids things like false alarms. It's easier to program it to read, this is a person, this is a tree, so that it's not just constantly spamming your phone and there's nothing really happening, it's just the wind. Yes.
So now that once the Nini is made,
yes,
what are your future plans? Are we expecting another gadget from you, or more gadgets?
Yes,
still on surveillance.
Yes, we're expecting more gadgets. I feel very passionately towards the issues of women. I think in our country, the issues of women, the issues of attacks on women, the issues of rape in our country are they're just on the rise. They keep increasing. And I know this is a very pessimistic view. Just from the cybersecurity, I had said this. There's laws to protect people. There's laws to protect women in our country, yet they don't. So one of the main things that I think I look towards doing in the future is to create an invention that will protect girls, to create, once again, a locally available, cheap invention that will protect girls, an invention that would not imply when you're rich is when you deserve to be protected, an invention for everyone, an invention for us all. Yet again, not within an invention, you expect to see more of me just talk about these issues of invention, talk about issues of technology, talk about issues of women in technology, women in invention, more on my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. It's called Real Joe, KE. You expect to see more of me there. Just talk about women in technology, issues of innovation, issues of us locally making it, because when we import it, it becomes expensive. Locally sourcing and inventing these solutions.
Okay, so locally invented solution.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much for your input on the gadget. Is very good. We really wish you the best of luck. Thank you, Richard, for coming. Thank you, Geoffrey, for the input, and for everyone at home. When it comes to matters of online fraud, you've been told how to safeguard yourself, and when it comes to matters technology, you've seen the invention. So if you do have an invention or something that you've created, you can as well reach me through my social media handles, that is Yusuf Farah on Facebook and Instagram, and you can also reach the Horizon TV pages. On that note, we have come to the end of the show today, so thank you very much, guys, for coming. From the whole entire Horizon TV team, my producer Isam Tama, and from me, as always, we say it's not goodbye. It is till we meet again. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.